Yes, okay, so we are watching Quinton Leap today. That is what we're doing today. We are gonna watch Quinton Leap. Does my mic sound good? I added a noise filter. Because I've never done that before, but does my mic sound okay? Okay. We are going to watch Quinton Leap, which was an embarrassing, comedy short film I made in high school. If anyone in chat went to my high school and graduated around the same time as me, this might be a little nostalgic for you, but for most of you, this is going to be a random piece of crap you've never seen before. But yes, so we are going to watch Quinton Leap, and the reason we're going to watch Quinton Leap is that Quinton Leap, the time travel film, is set 10 years ago today. So it didn't come out 10 years ago. It was supposed to come out 10 years ago. But then we had a bunch of snow days and the Channel 4 got delayed. But it came out in mid-February. But it is set 10 years ago today. And if we start watching this at 1:19, then when I show the date and the time, it should be 10 years ago to the minute. And once we get past that, we can pause and react and stuff because it won't matter. But I thought it would just be awesome to get to that moment where we see the date and time, and to the minute, it is 10 years ago, this exact second. It's crazy to think that junior year of high school was 10 years ago for me, because I don't think of 2014 as being that recent. But yeah, to reminisce about this before we get into it. When I was in high school, they had this media program, and everybody loved the media program. They don't do this part of it anymore, but we had an old broadcasting system, the kind of setup where if you play something in the media room, it shows up on every CRT TV in the school. And so what the media program did is they'd make these hour-long presentations called Channel 4, because they aired on the CRT Channel 4. And they were supposed to be updates about the school and news and oh look, sports. This is the sports. We did sports. But everybody uses an excuse to make skits, to make little odd things. And to just have fun with your friends and record stuff that you could pass down and remember. And I think it was one of the most beautiful things our school did. I don't think fondly of anything I did. I was far too overzealous. I thought I was some savant. I was really an asshole. I rarely look at anything I look at in school. I often think about things that other kids made, because it's this weird special little bubble. It's oh, was this skit an old YouTube thing? Did I see this on TV? No, I saw this on Channel 4. But Quinton Leap is the closest thing to something from that era that I'm proud of. Quinton Leap is the only thing I strive to think about anymore. And it was one of the longer experimental things that was ever made. I should have reined it in after that. I should have been alright, no more long things. But I did make a few more long things. But the reason it was long is that most Channel 4 skits were 30 seconds to 3 minutes. So Quinton Leap is 10 minutes, but it's cut into segments. So the way, and you might forget this watching it, but it'll be 30 seconds. 30 seconds of this plays, and then a bunch of other stuff plays on Channel 4. So the first segment of this is me and Noble. And after that, some other skits would play, some news would play. And I sometimes worry that the context there is lost. There's a lot of little jokes in here. I strove when I was making this. I strived. I don't know what the word is, but I went out of my way to keep in check with what everyone else was making. So I was hey, what skits are you guys making? What newsreels are you guys making? So that I could reference the other Channel 4 segments in the film, so that when you watch the Channel 4 as a full piece, it'd be oh, Quinton just referenced a news segment from 2 reels ago, you know? And that context is completely lost now. One thing that's really funny is when I was making this, there was this thing the other guys in the class were doing where they were like, we're doing this running joke where there's a catchphrase throughout the Channel 4. And I said, okay, cool. Tell me what the catchphrase is. I'll work it in. They said the catchphrase is, I'm going to Chinese buffet. And then at the end of the Channel 4, the credits will be all of us at the Chinese buffet. So we went and we did it that way, and we filmed it that way. And we filmed everybody at the Chinese buffet that we could get. But by the time the Channel 4 was done, I was the only one who had actually managed to put that joke in. So it was supposed to be this big, long-running joke, this catchphrase, through all the skits and all the material and stuff like that. And I think I was the only person that actually worked it in. So at the end of this, when I say, like, hey, I'm going to Chinese buffet, that was supposed to be a long-running joke, and I was just the only person that managed to actually pull it off. And so then we did the credits, and it was actually everyone at Chinese buffet. And in this edit, I just used footage of me, but I had footage of, like, most everyone in the class, you know. Did they play a prank on me? I don't think they did, because they did actually go to the Chinese buffet, and I saw skits they had filmed where they were like, we shot this little gag, and they had actually shot a gag which used the catchphrase. And it was just like so much stuff, kids would start stuff and just not finish it. And they'd say, like, wow, you know, this is hard work. I'm not going to do the rest of this work. And that was the story of what that class was like. Because everybody joined Channel 4 and then learned that even the most rudimentary scrabbled together stuff is like hard work. I'm gonna feel so cringy watching this. I really don't think highly of any version of myself from the past. I never think like, oh yes, I remember, yes, when I was 19. I'm like, no, I pretty piece of shit when I was 19. I was like, what about when I was 25? No. No. Pretty much anything before the History Channel videos, anything in my life before the History Channel videos, there's something I can cringe about. It's just weirdly this decade I've like grounded myself in a major way where I feel like I've really come around in many ways. But like we are in an unprecedented era of me just going 4 years and being fine with my life for the past 4 years. Well, 4 years starting in like March. And I don't know why. I guess the pandemic just like grounded me. Just like really made me like change as a person. And I went through some trauma. I've had some big family trauma. Had some hard times, but I haven't had a lot of moments where I'm like, wow, thinking about this thing from 2022 makes me want to go jump off a bridge. Like I have a lot less of that this decade. I don't know why. Is anyone from the Breaking Bad parody in this? That's a great question. So, you remember when I showed the Breaking Bad parody and I said, and then there's Brad, who's one of the funniest people I've ever met. Brad is in this. And so Brad had a clique, and it was Brad, Esteban, and Will, or William. And they were like the three cool kids, and they had a clique and they made skits. And I always thought their skits were like the funniest things I'd ever seen. And I remember Esteban, he fucking hated me. Like, I mean this. He hated my guts. He thought I was the fucking worst person he'd ever met. He really, really fucking hated my guts. He would just tell me that. He'd just be like, yeah, I fucking hate you. I don't know why you're here. I don't like when you come around. But I thought Brad was the funniest guy I've ever met. And I thought he was like an artist. Because he'd make these great skits. We started selling those naked drinks in the cafeteria. Naked was new back then. And he did this long skit that I think he had to cut down because it was too edgy. But it was about the fact that you could get the naked drink in the school cafeteria. And so just the whole thing was just people going like, yeah, did you know you can get naked at school now? And it's like, and then someone would be like, oh, yeah, naked, right, yeah, my dad loves getting naked. Well, yeah, now hold on, your dad can't get naked at the school. I think that wouldn't be okay. But your dad can get naked anywhere else. But as for us, we can get naked at the school now. It was just like a really funny skit, like weirdly, really, really funny. And I think that was in this Channel 4. And that's why they all have naked drinks, is because it was a reference to that. They're all holding naked drinks throughout this, because he had made that for this Channel 4, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And they just had all the naked drinks still. But yeah, Brad played, he played, oh god, I've forgotten the character's name. He played the Jesse character in the Breaking Bad parody. He was that's the best yearbook I've ever seen, Mr. Roof. And he conceived of the yearbook parody, I believe. And that was the thing I was really proud of, is that I was like a lone wolf whenever I made shit. And to this day, that is true. And what I loved about Channel 4 was like bringing these groups of people together. And this was the last semester where I was in media with Brad, because I did such a good job on this. They had me do a second term of semester junior year, which you're not supposed to do. They like signed me up for another, whatever rotation of media when the schedule restarted. But I wasn't in the same class as Brad. And then Brad graduated. He was a senior. So I never got to work with Brad again, but that's why I was so proud of this, is that I felt like it was like this big crossover. It was like I got to use these 3 insanely funny guys in my thing, and it was like I was trying to write their humor into my segment, trying to make skits that worked for them, to have those characters present in my material. And that's always what I wanted to do creatively. And I think it's still what I always want to do creatively. And it was such an honor to work with those guys. And weirdly enough, it's because I thought of them as like the elder skit makers who were like geniuses at being funny and making stuff that like immediately people got. And it was just so great that I was able to work with them. All right, here we go. Now, a little context here. So what you're seeing right here, this wasn't in it. This was footage I shot thinking I could edit it into an intro. And every time I rewatch this, I hate that this is in there. This isn't done. But this was me trying to set up, set up the ground rules for how the exposition here works. So it's just like, oh, it's me coming in. There's no music. But I wish I'd filmed this a little better, because this could really be great exposition for what the school looked like 10 years ago. So you get the bits later, and there's no audio, and it's fucked up. So this is where it actually started.
Hey, Noble, can I use the VCR to look at one of these tapes?
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, sure, right here.
No! I think the VCR has died.
Well, he was a good soldier. Well, through the other way, I guess you're going to have to go get another VCR, okay? Once you run on, go ahead there.
Tron 500.
Hey, here now, you can't use that. That's never been turned on.
I wish I had plugged this in.
On? Well, here now, we've had that VCR for 22 years, and that's bizarre. It's never worked.
Well, maybe I have the magic
touch.
Well, you got to make sure it plays the tape first.
Okay, mister. And whoa!
What is it?
This thing has a date counter on the front.
Yep, they usually do right there.
But look at it. It's set to the date.
All right, yeah, I timed it right. Yeah! Woo! Yeah, look at that. Oh my god, yes, that's 10 years from this exact moment. Holy hell, isn't that crazy? Woo! Yeah, so this was the day the Channel 4 was supposed to air. The Channel 4 got delayed, but I wanted to be set later in the day because I always felt like 1 to 3 was the best time of the day. Like, you could be stuck in a terrible class, and if it was after 1, you were like, oh yeah! It just always felt so good after 1 p.m. I also think this is when I would be in media. But yeah, so this was the first thing we shot, and nobody got it. Everyone was like, what are you doing, Quinton? But anyways, yeah, so I'm going to stay here until it turns to 122. But yeah, so that's the whole thing. Is a lot of like, in the logic of this skit, it is predestination. Oh, there we go. But the logic is that like everything that's here will be set up by the end of the film, which I love time travel fiction. I feel like I could not pull that off every time, so I'm glad I got to pull it off once. This does make sense if you pay attention.
Today's date.
Now that's impossible.
Now that's impossible.
It's off by an hour. Since it worked so hard to get this close, I might as well try and fix it. Go! I changed the year by accident. Well, it doesn't matter. Who needs the year?
Stay in the library. We'll do it there.
What, Brad, Esteban, what are y'all doing out there?
Okay.
Oh, I just realized it's actually... I completely forgot the plot point that the VCR is off by an hour. So I think oh man, I messed up. It's this scene is actually set at 12:21 p.m. So fuck, I messed up. Or maybe it's 2:21. I think it's 12:21. I'm pretty sure. I think it's an hour ahead. Yes, it's an hour ahead because I come back at the end of the film an hour later than I left. So I lose an hour. Okay. So yeah. But yeah, I messed up. But I mean, come on. The screen, it said 1:21. I mean, come on. You know, time zones and that kind of thing. But whatever. Whatever. Who cares?
Now, how do I get out of here? Set?
Oh boy. Whoa!
Mr. N, I think this VCR might actually be busted.
Where'd he go? He's not here. You know what? He's going rogue on me.
Yeah, so there's actually, there is a missing thing here. Originally, I did this segment, and it was set to a Beatles song. It was set to A Day in the Life. The end of A Day in the Life, where it's like... And it was pep rallies from the last few decades, where at the end of the pep rallies, they'd swarm the gym. And I played that backwards. And it was just like 10 years of stuff like that played backwards. And to give the sense of like time rewinding. I didn't touch the blue lightning. I had my hand up, and the blue lightning shot up and magnetized my hand. I put thought into this, goddammit. Look, the blue lightning. First of all, I don't like. I kept this in because it looked cool, but I wish it was actually lightning. But I was like, "Oh, that looks cool. I'm done." But the lightning grabs my hand. But see, I don't choose to do that. That's a lightning thing. But by the way, yeah, so the entire thing is I love the aesthetics of eras. I love the idea of like, oh, I made this in 2014, thus it's going to look like this. So the idea of this was not just to make a time travel movie. I wanted to make a time travel movie where the aesthetics move with the technology. So that was my vision. And I was like... And the other thing that inspired this was I found a bunch of old tapes that were in perfect condition, first generation, of the school decades ago. So I was like, well, I'll copy the aesthetics of old amateur filmmaking while getting to show this old footage to the school. So it'll have the appeal to everyone, where like the gimmick will... People that are just like, I need a gimmick. It'll be like, old footage of the school. They're like, great. I want to see what the school looked like 20 years ago. And then people who want a story are like, yeah, there's a thing going on here. And the reason I bring this up is that is why towards the end of the film, there's a blue hue to the lightning here. Where at the end of the film, the lightning doesn't have a glow. And it's thick, and it's chunky, and it just looks kind of bland. And the reason is I wanted the lightning to look like it could have been hand-drawn. I didn't have the time to do that, but I wanted it to look like someone could have gone in, like, a paint box or whatever they called it back then, and could have actually drawn on lightning frame by frame. And I thought that with that idea in mind, the blue hue didn't work. But things like that were always in my mind when I made this. And by the way, getting a working VHS camera for this documentary was a pain in the ass, because VHS cameras just were not designed to last. So I'd buy one, I'd record with it for a day, and then it would stop working. And I spent like all my Christmas money on old VHS cameras, and I finally got one, and I finished filming it, and it dropped like 4 feet. It was broke. It never worked again. But and that one you couldn't record on the camera, so I had it hooked up to a VCR, and the VCR was recording. But yeah, so I burned through VHS cameras trying to film this because I really wanted as much of this as possible to be filmed on VHS.
Where'd he go? He's not here. You know what? He's gone rogue on me.
Now, I believe that what I call the media room used to be something else, which is why I seem to wake up in another classroom. Is because I was thinking, like, maybe this was once, because it didn't used to be the media room, so it used to be something else. So I wanted it to feel like me being like, why is this room different,
What the heck was that?
See, that's one of the rare shots I didn't shoot on VHS, and I think you can tell. I shot it on, like, my home video camera, and then I dubbed it to VHS and back, and I think you can tell. Okay, so this is actual old VHS footage of the high school, and what I did was I took string grabs from this old tape, and then I filmed in the exact same place. Then I went in and I rotoscoped. And this is why the snow days were good, because if I didn't have the snow days, the movie wouldn't have gotten done. But I went in frame by frame in GIMP, not even Photoshop. I did this in GIMP. I didn't do it in After Effects or Photoshop. I did this in GIMP, frame by frame, rotoscope myself over the footage. And in a lot of frames, it's obvious, but I think
What happened to those little book things?
Yeah, so what happened to those little book things, again, is a reference to the Channel 4 this was in. We had some news segment. This is a trophy cabinet, but they would just fill it up with whatever every month. And the library did some kind of art thing where, like, you came in and you made, like, little books based on books you liked or something. So at that time, when this came out, there was a display in the entranceway of book things. And so I was like, oh, I should name drop the goddamn book things, because there's trophies here. What the hell? What high school is this?
Class of 1991. What?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if that makes sense.
The summers of the past, adjust the bass and let the Alpine blast. Pop in my CD and let me run around.
This is all actual old archive footage I found of my high school. Yeah. And then this is the punchline to me. I was like, okay, this is the punchline.
They're teenagers. And they're dancing to Will Smith. Must be in the past.
That was filmed at my father's work because it was the only place I knew that had white curtains. But yeah, so the punchline is I'm like, I don't believe I'm in the past. I'm like, this is all a dream. I'm just imagining things. They're playing a prank on me. And then And then when I find a bunch of teenagers dancing to Will Smith music, I'm like, all right, I'm in the past. There's no other explanation. I'm in the past. Nothing else justifies this. So that's the punchline.
So then I said, that's not a cranberry pie, that's my wife.
Those are those three guys I was talking about. These guys, I thought they were comedy legends. And I know Brad made that up. And I'm sure it's offensive somehow. That's what Brad was like. Is that Brad would always sneak these things in. And here's a principle that people didn't like, but I thought, well, she'll do it. And I thought it'd be fun to put my principal in this dumb movie.
Good afternoon, media students.
Oh, hey, Miss Forgy.
Hey, Miss Forgy. Oh, hey, Miss Forgy. You need something?
I've come to drop off a letter, a very mysterious letter.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just, this wasn't scripted. But like Esteban specifically was like, I hate this principal. And he kept ad-libbing stuff about how much he hates this principal. And he kept working it in. And I was like, I can't use any of this. But you can feel it in every... It affected how the scene went, because it was just like... in every line you can feel how much they detest her, even though that wasn't in the script.
22 years ago, a student brought this letter to the office and asked us to deliver it on this specific date at this specific time. But it was an hour ago. We're running a little bit behind.
That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, but anyways, I say it's an hour behind. Remember that. Important plot point. She delivered it an hour before. She delivered an hour later than she was supposed to. That's an important plot point.
And it was written by the school's most mysterious student.
You gonna give us a letter or not?
Okay, sure.
Quinton Hooper.
This looks like it's 100 years old, but it's only 20 years old.
Open it, Brad.
Should we crowd around?
Such a dumb bit that I just soaked it in coffee before I sent it.
Dear God.
Dear guys, if my calculations are correct, you will receive this letter mere seconds.
Ah, do you see? That's it. Look, I did the thing. I had to buy this font back then. Nowadays, this font is free. But yeah, the bit is that, like, yeah, when I'm in the present, the title card is like some shit I made in Photoshop because I have technology. But when I'm in the past, it's like the built-in camera text tool. Oh my god, I love shit like this.
After I dissipated into the time stream.
Back
in January, when I tried to use the Tron 500 for the first time, the VCR went completely haywire, and for some reason sent me back to the exact time and year which I had set by accident. That day was long ago for me, but it is that same day that you will be getting this letter. You would think that a place like the high school would be one that I would feel at home at, but the place where I currently spend my days is alien to me. Of course, some things never change.
Clint?
This was a teacher. He retired like shortly after I graduated, but he had a son that I went to school with. And so this teacher was old, he had a long beard, he was a big, charismatic, known to be like, oh, there's that big guy with the long beard. And then it's just like when he first came to the high school, he looked just like his son. And so, like, working it into the narrative, I found this old footage of him. That was really cool, and it really blew people away. And so, Mr. Merrill, so cool. But that's why I called myself Quinton Hooper. Not only because it's funny, because it sounds like the worst alias you could think of, but also because in this old footage, Mr. Merrill says Clint, because I guess he was talking to a kid named Clint. And I got to steal that footage and just say, yeah, in the past, my alias is Clinton. And people call me Clint. Yeah, so that's why that's there.
Yes, James? Merrill? Mr. Merrill?
Where's your homework? Huh? I mean, this assignment has been due for 3 days, and it is not here.
As I finish this letter, it is now April. It's funny how time flies, in more ways than one. In just a short time, I shall be a senior. Class of 1993.
Oh, there's a great gag.
It's a little ironic. I always wanted to graduate early.
That's a great line. That's a great line. I killed that one. Cooked. I cooked!
Q's alive. Q's alive. I can't believe it. Q is alive.
You really believe any of the goings and comings and goings and that this says right here? Rubbish. Complete rubbish.
It's entirely possible that Q fabricated all of this to play a practical joke on us.
That jerk.
I bet Quinton's gonna come running through that door at any minute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so everyone caught up. Here's part 4. And like I said, in between each of these segments would be a long thing going on. Anyway, so this is another gag. I had a teacher at school named Maston. Maston was very old, very grumpy, very infamous. I still have nightmares about this man. And I always thought he looked like a kid I went to school with named Brandon. So one year I said, I pissed off Maston later, and he'd never work with me creatively again. But I said, "Hey, Maston, can you record all these lines?" And so I went with a microphone. I had Mr. Maston record all these lines I had written, and then I had Brandon come in and say all the lines to the camera. And I took the audio of Maston and I put it with the footage of Brandon. I think you can barely tell. And to make it as subtle as possible, I also pre-recorded all of my audio with the same microphone. So throughout the scene, I'm lip-syncing to all my lines just so it looks not as fake that, you know, the young Mr. Maston has clearly got some ADR thing going on. Yeah, but I borrowed this book from Mr. Roof, my yearbook film English teacher. I'm pausing because he did like 8 things. But I borrowed this from Mr. Roof because it would have been released right before this is set. So that's my gimmick, is that this is actually an old book. And then I found the Ilsa Marine in like this list of like movies you have to see, and I was like, yes! I love the Ilsa Marine. So that's the joke as I'm reading the book, and I'm...
We're not recording anything. You can come in.
Ah, Mr. Hooper.
Hello, Mr. Maston. Do you need something?
Yes, I wanted to drop this by.
Ah, would you like to donate this to the media program?
Not quite.
The Mastron 5000?
Yeah, his name is Maston, so the joke is that it was originally called the Mastron 5000.
I figured that you would be the best person to show this to, as I know you have some sort of obsession with time travel.
Time travel?
Look inside.
What in the... You've gutted it!
I used the shell of the VCR and some of the minor parts, but the rest is a completely original design.
Hold up, Mr. Maston. Are you trying to tell me that you built a time machine out of a four-head VCR?
I only used the most advanced technology out there. It was quite the sacrifice, but I believe that it will be worth it.
Why in the world would you build this?
I get quite bored in my spare time, and I figured that building a time machine would be the best way to cure my ailment. Besides, this school is about 40 years old. I've always wanted to see what it would look like in another 20 or so.
Oh, I doubt it'll still be in use.
Exactly. I want to see it become a park or a shelter for the homeless, or maybe a factory for flying cars.
just ripping our school. Really funny.
You're quite the optimistic, Mr. Maston.
I'll be right back to get the remote. When I return, we'll continue this conversation.
God, I was so skinny. I thought of myself as fat, too.
Okay, so how do I do this? Date? Yes. Time. Left it. When did I leave? 1:20, I think.
Yeah, so I've forgotten when I left, and so I accidentally said it an hour or two forwards. That's the bit.
And set time.
Yeah, so this is now supposed to look like something that like someone would hand draw in the 90s. Risk of electric shock.
Oh no, he's gone rogue.
I bet Quinton's gonna come running through that door at any minute. I'm back!
God, I wish it was dead.
You know, this is hardly the best welcome back party. You know, I'm gone for 7 months. I get back here. I missed you all a little bit at least. And this is what I get. You know what? I'm gonna throw my own welcome back party at China Buffet. As a matter of fact, forget the party.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the Futurama Blackjack and Hookers line. I was like, well, if I'm going to be the last person to name drop China Buffet, I'll do some kind of twist on it. And then it's just a complete out of nowhere, like, well, we don't, you know, this doesn't go anywhere. This isn't set up. It's just the thing I say about Chinese buffet.
No, everything with chocolate is caffeine. You have to drink like.
I miss that Chinese buffet. It's gone now. But yeah, I just was like, wouldn't it be really funny if we go to the Chinese buffet and I'm just eating French fries and croutons? So that's what the bit here is. I'm just eating croutons. Oh my god, this bit. All right, here's the bad punchline.
Oh god. Wait, Quentin, aren't we gonna need a camera for that?
Cameras? Wherever we're going, we don't need cameras.
I would always hide references to this in future stuff. I remember Brad hated it. He thought it was a hack, and he was right. But yeah. The joke is that there's no Quinton Leap 2, and there shouldn't be. Yeah, I would not have a new place to take this. There's little glitches in this. I wish it looked better, but like that looks bad. I wish I just asked my dad to pull the car out, you know? Yeah, I wish we still had this car. Alright. Is it a parking lot for flying cars? Okay, funny story. So that high school is still a high school 10 years later. But what I've been told is, I think, if I'm remembering this right, they are currently building a new high school. So as of this Christmas, the building is going to finally be retired. And I guess it's a 70-year-old building. That doesn't sound right. Hold on a damn minute. Let me get a calculator here. 20. Okay, it is not 70 years old. I'm bad at math. But I think it was built in like 1961 or something like that. So it was insanely old. It was moldy. It had been through hell. We all knew. It was supposed to have been replaced by that point, but the recession hit, so they finished building the middle school, and then we had the old high school. So it was really funny. We had this like bougie ass middle school, like really way too nice. I sometimes think about like, oh my god, I'd love to work at a building like that old middle school, or that new middle school. But we just had this rundown high school. And I thought it was good at the end of the day. I mean, as far as I know, it didn't give us cancer. And I think you should go to a high school with a little character. Because I've been watching a reboot of an old sitcom called Head of the Class. And they rebooted it, and it didn't last. But I watched a bit of the reboot, and in the reboot, they're in this like brand new, like gentrified ass high school, and I hate it. I'm like, well, come on, just use a building with character. I think you should want to go to a high school that's like in a building that's 100 years old. So I love high schools with character, and I'm sad they're going to be retiring this one, but it's definitely time. I wish it was a parking lot for flying cars, though. It'd be great. A factory where they build flying cars. It was more coherent than other stuff I've watched. Yeah, it was definitely more coherent than other stuff I've made. I mean, honestly, Quinton Leap holds up. And at the end of the day, it's sad to say, it's probably my most coherent film. You know, I always wanted to be a filmmaker, never was too good at it. But you know, I think I want to get back into filmmaking just as a hobby. I think I need something that's a break from the channel. And I think making some more low budget point and shoot films would be good for my health. But yeah, Quinton Leap's still one of the best things I've made, honestly. How would you rank your short films? To do that, I'd have to recognize all my short films as short films. I prefer to recognize the bad ones as YouTube videos. My high school is 100 years old and looks like it's from a Disney Channel movie. It's so much nicer than the other schools in my area. That's cool. I'm glad to hear that. Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah. I'd love to return to no-budget filmmaking. Quinton Reviews the Movie is, like, the most recent example of me doing something like this. And the jury's still out on if Quinton Reviews the Movie is a massive mistake or not. Or if people like it or they think it's terrible or embarrassing. I love Quinton Reviews the Movie, though. I think Quinton Reviews the Movie is awesome. I rewatched a good amount of that recently because my dad leaves my YouTube videos playing in his den whenever he's not using the TV. So I'll go into his den to, do a little writing because he has a chair at least. And then he'll just have my videos on, and sometimes I'll turn them up if it's a video I don't hate. Yeah, and I watched a good amount of that. I had something I wanted to say about that film. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, if you guys didn't know, Quinton Reviews the Movie is the official title for the... I remember what I was going to say now. Quinton Reviews the Movie is the official title for the lore movie I put at the end of To Boldly Suck. Where after like 40 minutes of review, it's just the lore movie. And that is called Quinton Reviews the Movie. And there's actually a superior edit of the film uploaded by itself, but it has like 30,000 views. No one watched it. But, so yeah, Quinton Reviews the Movie is what's in To Boldly Suck. And the big thing I want to say about that is when we were making it, there was this big moment where it was like it was too late to turn back. And I turned to Caleb and I was like, I don't know what my point is. I was like, I don't know what my point is. And what I mean is that, like, it's a video where I'm reviewing an old, bad, embarrassing YouTube lore movie. And I'm like, this is why lore movies shouldn't exist. And then I make a lore movie. And it's like, I was like, going in, I thought the joke was I was going to be like, yeah, look, see, you shouldn't make these. But I'm just having a good time. So I don't have a point. I'm just doing the thing. At some point, I wanted to make a lore movie, and the review justified the movie. And I don't even care what I say in the review. I probably wouldn't stand by half of it. I didn't even fucking rewatch To Boldly Flee. I couldn't do it. At some point, I pulled up a transcript, and I read the transcript. It was too cringy, too personal. So to wrap up the whole thing about Quinton Leap was a fun thing. I'm glad it's faded away. I'm glad that Quinton Leap is not the peak of my life. But I am proud of what I accomplished there in high school. And I hope I don't look too ghastly older than I did at the time. And it was just a very fun project, and it was fun to make a time travel movie that like actually makes sense. Like if you go and rewatch it, everything makes sense, everything lines up. And that was really awesome and fun. But the biggest thing I remember about Quinton Leap was just getting to work with the guys. And even if Brad is the only one of those guys that ever really liked me, I still think that's one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, is just getting to work with the guys. Because I just respected them so much, and it really got me to flex my writing and to really be like, okay, this is a mix of a lot of things. One of them is the skits these guys make. and how much they inspire me and that kind of thing. So I'm very grateful that I had that opportunity. And I think that I will always walk away with that being my number one takeaway from Quinton Leap. With that, I can completely get off topic now. Do you at least have a favorite YouTuber in terms of content? In terms of content, I want to say like one of the best YouTubers of all time is Internet Comment Etiquette. Like I've been rewatching his videos slowly, and Internet Comment Etiquette is one of the greatest people. I really, really love his channel. And I think I have a ton of other favorite YouTubers. I'm a lot more hesitant to be parasocial these days because I have trauma and trust issues, which I think are justified. But I have massive trust issues. And so I'm a lot less trusting than I used to be, I guess. And so it's hard for me to be like, oh yes, YouTuber I feel comfortable shouting out. Brian David Gilbert is one of the last people on earth where it's honestly like, I hope he doesn't know who I am because he's such a genius. He's one of the most intelligent creators on earth. He's a savant, like unironically. If I want to give a third one, I watch Internet Comment Edit. Oh, not. I watch Internet Today like every day that they put out a video. I'll watch it. They're really good. And I'd say Scott the Woz is like definitely top 3 YouTubers that I watch. Like Scott the Woz is a genius. I love his second channel stuff. So Scott the Woz will always go on there because Scott's amazing. But yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know how many people actually showed up to watch this thing, but thank you all for checking out my bad high school short film. And I'm supposed to say something when I end these videos. I can't remember what it is. Oh well, bye.